Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this. Think about it. We spend an absolute fortune on clothes, cosmetics, gym memberships, all to make our physical bodies more attractive. But what about the one thing that truly enhances everyone's appeal, literally costs nothing, and takes barely any time to improve? Today we are exploring a brilliant concept from Edward de Bono, the world-famous pioneer of creative thinking. We're going to unpack his guide to treating the mind exactly like a muscle that we can actively beautify.
To really understand why this matters, picture this scenario de Bono lays out right at the beginning of his work. You're at a cocktail party, and there's a stunningly beautiful woman there. She's got flawless skin, elegant clothes, a perfect figure, yet, surprisingly, she's sitting completely on her own. People drift up to her, chat for a second, and then just quickly drift away. Now look across the room. There's a short, balding, kind of mousy-looking man, but he is constantly surrounded by people engaged in deeply animated, fascinating conversation. What exactly is going on here? Well, de Bono argues that great physical beauty combined with a boring mind is, well, it's just boring. Physical beauty naturally fades, but the beauty of your mind can actually increase with age, wisdom, and experience. It is the ultimate conversational attractor. So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll define what a beautiful mind actually is. Then we'll step inside something called the logic bubble and learn how to disagree politely. After that, we'll explore parallel thinking. And finally, we'll adopt the explorer attitude. Let's get to it.
Section 1. What is a beautiful mind? A conversational skill.
You know, when we hear the phrase beautiful mind, we usually picture a solitary genius solving incredibly complex math puzzles on a chalkboard. But mental beauty isn't about having a sky-high IQ or some encyclopedic knowledge of trivia. De Bono emphasizes that the mind is a skill. It relies on creativity, imagination, and empathy. If you have natural physical beauty, it is an absolute tragedy to waste it by having a dull mind. De Bono actually compares it to buying a highly expensive luxury sports car and then totally forgetting to put fuel in the tank. A beautiful mind is simply a mind that can be appreciated by others, usually through conversation. And the absolute best news here, because it's a skill, literally anyone can learn it.
Moving right along to Section 2. Inside the logic bubble. Finding true agreement.
To have a truly beautiful mind, you have to genuinely seek to find points of agreement with people. Now, I know this is often difficult because when someone does something we disagree with, our immediate instinct is to label them as ignorant or, frankly, just stupid. But de Bono introduces this highly effective mental framework that he calls the logic bubble. The idea is that the other person is actually acting perfectly logically within their own bubble. That bubble is constructed from their unique perceptions, their personal values, their deeply felt needs, and their specific past experiences. If you make a genuine effort to step inside that bubble and really see where they're coming from, suddenly their position makes logical sense.
So how do we practically pull this off in real life? First, you got to remove your ego from the discussion entirely. Focus on the subject itself, not on the desperate need to be right all the time. Second, really explore their logic bubble. Third, acknowledge their special experiences as strong possibilities. And fourth, proactively look for circumstances where their view might actually be right and spell those out to them. Finding agreement isn't about some sycophantic pretense or just nodding along with everything they say, because that's just boring. It's about a genuine, curious exploration of their perspective.
Which brings us to Section 3, how to disagree politely, handling differences.
Let's face it, disagreements are going to happen. That's just life, but how you handle them dictates the actual beauty of your mind. The absolutely crucial point here is your motivation. Do not disagree simply for the sake of disagreeing, or just to show how clever you are to boost your own ego. When you do have to disagree, do it politely and gently. You might need to just point out a simple error of logic, or gently note that someone is using selective perception. The most effective tactic here is to clearly spell out the exact point of difference. Lay the two differing opinions right alongside each other, honestly. Get the other person to agree that you summarized the difference correctly. Then explore the reasons for that difference. Maybe it's a fundamental difference in values, or just a different guess about how the future will play out. And hey, if you can't reconcile it, you could beautifully and respectfully agree to differ.
Section 4. Parallel thinking and hats. A new way to communicate.
Now, this framework is a total game changer. It's a revolutionary alternative to traditional arguments, and it's actually used by some of the largest corporations in the entire world. Think about this. For about 2,400 years, we've relied on a system of argument designed by what we can call the Greek Gang of Three: Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. In a traditional argument, each side makes a case and then aggressively defends it while attacking the other side. It's an ego-driven win-or-lose battle. I am right and you are wrong. De Bono contrasts this entirely with parallel thinking. Imagine 4 people standing around a square building, and they're all arguing over what the building looks like from their single limited side. Parallel thinking basically asks everyone to conceptually walk around to the exact same side of the building at the same time, look in the exact same direction, and cooperatively describe what they see. Then they all move to the next side together.
To actually put this into practice, de Bono created the 6 thinking hats framework. Each hat represents a specific direction of thinking. The white hat is for facts and information. The red hat brings in emotions, feelings, and intuition. And let me tell you, this is vital. Because if we don't officially allow emotions into a discussion, people just disguise them as false logic anyway. The black hat is for caution and critical thinking. The yellow hat actively looks for value and benefits. The green hat is purely for creativity and new ideas. And finally, the blue hat controls the whole process. Instead of showing off by attacking someone else's idea, you show off your mental agility by performing really well under every single hat. Everyone thinks creatively together. Everyone looks for risks together.
And if you're sitting there thinking, this is just some polite social skill for dinner parties, look at the real-world impact for a second. MDS, a major company in Canada, reckon they saved $20 million in the very first year they implemented this parallel thinking method. $20 million.
To further show the sheer efficiency of a cooperative mind, Siemens, which was the largest corporation in Europe at the time, estimated they reduced their product development time by a staggering 50% using parallel thinking. 50%! In another case, one corporation reduced a highly complex, 30-day multinational project discussion down to just 2 days. That's what happens when you remove the ego battles. You suddenly unlock the full objective brainpower of absolutely everyone in the room.
Finally, Section 5, the Explorer Attitude, seeking truth together.
This right here is the overarching mindset shift required for all of your future conversations. Look at the attitudes we typically bring to our discussions. There is the deeply exhausting battle attitude, which is literally just an ego power game meant to dominate the other person. But a beautiful mind adopts a totally different stance. It uses the learner attitude to actively seek out new information. It uses the constructive attitude to collaboratively design a way forward. But above all, it embraces the explorer attitude. Think of it like different minds landing on the shores of a brand new, undiscovered island. You cooperatively map out the terrain together. You seek the actual truth, not just cheap debate points. De Bono leaves us with a really wonderful analogy here. Sport is inherently enjoyable, right? So why on earth shouldn't the use of your mind in conversation be just as enjoyable? It should actually be a form of entertainment. Imagine you're playing tennis, but you can also watch a video of yourself playing at the exact same time. You can genuinely enjoy the process of agreeing, of politely disagreeing, of applying different values to a situation. War is never beautiful. An ego seeking to dominate a room is never beautiful. But skillfully playing the cooperative sport of conversation, that truly is.
I want to highlight this quote directly from the source material because it hits the nail on the head. The intention of the explorer is to lay out a full and complete picture. Everyone else is seen as an ally in achieving that aim. That right there is the absolute essence of a beautiful mind. It views the person sitting across the table not as a combatant to be defeated, but as an essential ally in a shared exploration.
So, what should you take away from all this? A beautiful mind is absolutely a skill that you can start cultivating today. It doesn't require a genius IQ, it just requires empathy, imagination, and a genuine willingness to step inside another person's logic bubble. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a quick question to consider right now. In your very next conversation, whether it's at a cocktail party, sitting around the family dinner table, or pitching in the boardroom, will you be a warrior fighting for your ego, or will you be an explorer,